Welcome back to AgriTalk at the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. Day number 2, big crowd on hand again. They got on the grounds late because of the weather, and there's still some folks tied up out there in parking, we understand, as they try to work their way through some kind of soft fields. But, all in all, it handled the 4 inches of rain very, very well. All right, we're going to talk now with Leon Hunter, Plant Performance Lead for the Prairie and Mountain Business Unit for Syngenta. Leon, good to talk with you again. Let's talk a little bit about Quilt XL and how it performed this season.
Yeah, we were excited actually to introduce Quilt XL this year. And Quilt XL is our elite performing fungicide that we used on corn this year. And the results thus far have been extremely well. We are seeing yields are beginning to come in. We're seeing the benefits of 10 to 15 bushel is about what we would expect from a yield response, as well as some of the growers that have done some initial harvest down in the Kansas area. I've talked about some of the standability and some of the harvest convenience that Quilt XL has provided for them.
When we talk plant performance, how do you measure that?
We take a look at plant performance, look at several different things, Mike, and we really take a look specifically at trying to identify any attributes or anything that can help that plant meet its overall natural potential, help that plant just give the grower the maximum yield potential that it can achieve. And traditionally we're thinking about the use of insecticides and fungicides. There are other components that could also be added to plant performance. Timing is so critical.
And when farmers, they struggle with that application time, what's the best time? Let's talk a little bit about that for fungicides for corn.
When we take a look at fungicide for corn, we have basically 2 application timings that we're looking at and evaluating. One this year that we really started early on was our V5 applications. And our V5 applications typically are made whenever the corn plants are at about the vegetative growth stage of growth stage 5. We make those applications up until about V7, and then the second time, and that's more of a plant performance application. The second application that we are looking at, or an additional application that growers can make, is at R1, and that's been our traditional application timing. That's typically whenever the tassels are beginning to emerge, or the silks are beginning to form on the ear shoot, and that's where most of the applications up to this far has been made.
What would be the reasoning behind an earlier application for fungicide?
When we take a look at the V5 application, we're really looking at trying to help that plant get off to a very early start, help that plant during a very critical time whenever the number of kernels around are being developed on the cob. And we try to reduce any type of stresses and early season disease control to help that plant reach its maximum yield potential.
So the plant doesn't get behind and trying to play catch up.
That's exactly right. That V5 application is all about mitigating or minimizing stresses and helping that corn plant reach its natural yield potential.
Because you might lose something early on that the plant can't recover from, or you may never get that back during the course of the growing season.
That's exactly right. If you can minimize any type of stress on that plant continues to produce. Some of the things we're seeing from those early applications from a stress mitigation standpoint has been a reduction in transpiration. While in Iowa this year we really didn't have drought situations, but in a couple of areas further west, we were able to reduce the amount of transpiration in those plants. So we didn't see the plants roll as readily from the lack of water.
For non-farmers listening, they may wonder, why is this also important? Well, it's because we're producing more on the same or fewer acres, and it's critical for farmers to be able to increase that productivity.
That is correct. As you take a look at the growing population, the number of people we're having, it's important that growers maximize their yield potential so that we can feed this growing population that's happening worldwide.
People wonder, how are we going to do that? How are we going to feed people today and that growing population? It's through technology and management practices like we're talking about here.
That is exactly right. One way to meet that demand is through non-traditional technologies, and the use of fungicides on row crops is something that is kind of new to the Midwest grower. We've been doing it on seed production. When we start looking at traditional commercial corn and soybeans, that's relatively new within the last 3 to 5 years.
All right, Leon, thanks a lot. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Leon Hunter, Plant Performance Lead for the Prairie and Mountain Business Units for Syngenta. Stay with us. Much more to come, including an update on weeding out hunger. That's next. It's halftime on AgriTalk.